we go. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Let's see. 2 minutes left, baby. Let's see what you got. King of Africa. See. Now he's going to hold. He's going to hold for... Oh! Oh! Fuck! I'm sorry, chat. I wanted to see a finish. Oh, that would have been epic if he would have done that.
For Dricus to come back from that and bridge the gap between him and Khamzat, that is a tall task.
Yeah.
It's a tall task because that kind of dominance, that kind of grappling dominance was not just a level. It was multiple levels. And it just didn't seem like he had any answer for that. I don't know who he brought in to train with him, but clearly he didn't bring in anybody that had that kind of...
Incredible energy in the crowd, incredible fight itself. Khamzat's performance, I mean, was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Give us your takeaway of it. And did you see before this fight that being the possible way it was going to play out?
No. The lead up to this fight, I said, I bet the main event is the fight of the night. Didn't see that coming, but not shocked either. I mean, you go in and dominate the way that he dominated. If you can do it the first round, more than likely you're going to do it the second and throughout the rest of the fight.
Yeah. There was a time, I think Dricus tried a guillotine. I'm assuming there was never any danger.
Nah, bro, I hope I can die before the next somebody submit me there.
Okay.
Does this win in a way, like the way you won, almost prove something more? Like a lot of people are questioning your cardio. Can you go 5 rounds? All that stuff. Like, does it feel good to kind of shut those people up a little bit?
I don't care what people think about doing my thing. So, like you said, how many strikes I landed on him, how many takedowns I has there. So I didn't guess out. So now they know.
Yeah, it was 529 total strikes and 21 minutes and 40 seconds of control time, which was the second most ever in a UFC fight.
How many takedowns was that?
Let's see.
Yeah.
You had 12 takedowns.
So, yeah, that's big by itself.
Now that the fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus du Plessis is over, it's time to look back at what UFC experts predicted. From bold knockout calls to razor-thin decision forecasts, analysts had plenty to say about how this clash would unfold. Let's break down their takes and see who came closest to calling it right. Starting with Tim Welch, he had built up the fight like it was one of those rare matchups you circle on the calendar months in advance. He laid out just how dangerous Dricus had been lately, running through top names he'd beaten and pointing out that even when he looked exhausted, he somehow kept pushing until the other guy broke.
Fight I'm fired up for. I haven't been fired up for the fight like this for a long time. We got Dricus, the middleweight champion of the world, 31 years old, 23-2, African. He's got 9 KOs, 11 submissions. He is on a fat win streak. Took out Darren Till, took out Derek Brunson, took out Robert Whitaker, Sean Strickland, Izzy Adesanya, Sean Strickland again. The guy's a freak show athlete. Freak show athlete. There's a video on my YouTube going him submitting a full team of Gracie Baja black belts. He's got incredible cardio. It looks like he's completely fatigued, and he will just push through. He's went the distance with Sean Strickland twice. He went to the 4th round with Izzy Adesanya where he ended up getting the finish. So he's used to going to those deep waters.
Then he shifted to Khamzat, calling him the kind of fighter no one wants to prepare for. Tim talked about that insane first-round sprint Khamzat brings, how he piles on the pressure like he's betting the whole fight on those first few minutes. But he also hinted at the flip side. If Khamzat couldn't finish it early, things could turn against him fast.
He's taken on the absolute freak show, Khamzat Chimaev, 6'2", 31 years old. He's 14 wins with 0 losses, 6 KOs, 6 submissions, and Khamzat is a freak. This guy would be a nightmare to prepare for. But all of his fights, he went to decision one time with Kamaru Usman, with Gilbert Burns also. But remember, he comes out, he goes 0 to 100, he sprints at you. The pace for a 5-round fight is so much different. He's throwing all his chips down that he's gonna finish you. And if he doesn't, there's a good chance he's not winning a decision. Took out Robert Whitaker, Usman, Kevin Holland, Gilbert Burns, Jingling. The Usman fight, remember, if that was 2 more rounds, who knows what would happen. And in every one of his fights, he comes out and blitzes at you. So obviously, if Dricus can survive the first 5 to 8 minutes, his chances of winning.
When it came to picking a winner, Tim leaned toward Dricus surviving the early chaos and turning it around late. He pictured a finish in the championship rounds, not in a way that dismissed Khamzat's skills, but as the kind of outcome that would leave fans saying, wow, that actually happened.
Dricus gets it done. TKO in the 4th or 5th round. That's crazy.
Bilal Muhammad had been confident heading into this one, saying the matchup favored Khamzat in a way most people weren't seeing. While many believed Khamzat would need to end it early, Bilal dismissed that idea, pointing instead to moments where Dricus had looked tired before. He felt Khamzat's mix of striking and wrestling would be something Dricus hadn't faced at this level.
Of DDP, who do I got? I've been saying it. I think Chimaev's going to make it look easy. I think it's going to be one of those fights, matches up very well for him. The whole world saying he needs to finish it early. If he gets later in the rounds, he's going to get tired, he's going to gas. I don't think that's the case. I don't think DDP has the best gas tank. Yeah, he's gone into later rounds. He's been in wars, but he hasn't fought anybody like...
He broke down the game plan like it was simple. Take Dricus down, hold him there, and make him work for every movement. Bilal pointed out past fights where others had found success on the ground against Dricus, adding that Khamzat's ability to pounce on a neck could be a fight ender if the opening came.
I think it'll be easier at Dricus. You take him down, I think it'll be easier to hold him down. We've seen guys like Brunson take him down. Even Darren Till had great positions on him on the ground. Chimaev's different than both those guys. When he finds your neck, when he sees your neck, he goes for the kill. He goes for the jugular. And I think that if Dricus leaves an opening, Chimaev will find it and he'll get the finish.
When talking about the stand-up, Bilal didn't ignore Dricus' awkward punches, but he felt Khamzat had seen faster, sharper strikers before. In his eyes, as long as Khamzat kept calm, stayed aware of the looping shots, and timed his entries, a finish was possible. He made it clear in his mind that Khamzat was going to make it look easy.
This is awkward style, looping punches, weird punches. And we've seen you get hit, we've seen you get rocked, but I think that you're gonna see those looping punches a lot better with Chimaev. He's not gonna be as fast as Gilbert Burns, he's not gonna be as fast as Kamaru. And when he shells up, he does have a really good shell. Just slow pace yourself. When he shells up like that, I think go for the shot. Take him down, hold him down, stay on top. Wear on him. I don't think he does have the cardio advantage like the world says. I think your cardio is good enough to compete with his. DDP's keys to victory. If you do get taken down, play it safe, hold them, and even play guard, lock your guard up.
Michael Bisping had already set the tone by saying this main event was one of the biggest middleweight title fights in years, and he didn't ignore the obvious while giving his prediction. Chimaev's power, his unbeaten record, and his wrestling were always going to be a problem in the opening minutes. Bisping expected Chimaev to start fast, probably take Du Plessis down early, and likely control the first round. He compared what Du Plessis could do to a mix of Gilbert Burns' submission defense and Kamaru Usman's toughness, but with a size advantage. That combination in his mind meant Du Plessis might survive those early moments.
Khamzat Chimaev's going to go forward in round one. He's probably going to dominate the first round. He's probably going to get a takedown. And the big question is, can Dricus stop him? Can he defend the takedowns? Now, a lot of people can't. A lot of people can't stop the submissions, but Gilbert Burns could and Kamaru Usman could. Now, when you look at Gilbert Burns, one of the best jiu-jitsu games in all the UFC. So you think about that and you think, well, Dricus doesn't have that kind of jiu-jitsu. But then you look at Kamaru Usman, and he was able to go to a decision, and yeah, okay, granted, ridiculous wrestling credentials, but naturally a welterweight, and he also took it on short notice. Now, Dricus has got a little bit of Gilbert, and he's got a little bit of Kamaru Usman, and he's a lot bigger than both of them.
From there, Bisping pictured the fight shifting. He said that if Du Plessis could weather the storm, Chimaev's pace would slow. By the third round, Chimaev wouldn't be the same threat he was in the first, and that's where Du Plessis could start to take over. Bisping pointed out that Chimaev had never been pushed deep into a 5-round fight, while Du Plessis had been there before and still hunted for the finish late.
But I think that Dricus weathers the storm in the first round. The storm gets a little bit lighter, like just here. The rain has just calmed down. We've still got a little bit of spitting. That's going to be Khamzat in the third round. There'll still be a threat. There'll still be some danger, right? I will get wet if I go outside, but I ain't going to get drenched, okay? And that's not a bad analogy, to be fair. And then I think Dricus Du Plessis starts to take over, has success in the third round, starts to land, starts to grow in confidence. We haven't seen Khamzat Chimaev pushed to the limit over 5 rounds. We've seen Dricus in the 5th round and the 4th round. We've seen what he's like when he gets tired, and we know that he's still hunting the finish, just like he did against Israel Adesanya. So
he also hinted at the risks for both sides. There was still a world where Chimaev could dominate from start to finish, make it look easy, and end the fight early. But in Bisping's mind, if the fight dragged into the championship rounds, Du Plessis would be the one pressing forward, landing more, and maybe even finding a stoppage late.
And the reality is that for all the work that Khamzat Chimaev is going to do, that he has done, for the amount that he has pushed himself, you can't be a sprinter and a marathon runner at the same time. Khamzat Chimaev is probably the best first-round fighter that the sport's turning fight. I think Dricus is going to leave that with some new scars. He's going to be bloodied and bruised, and it's going to be a tough, absolute dogfight, back and forth, and then he's going to start to fade, and Dricus takes over. And Dricus Du Plessis will still be the middleweight champion of the world, and I think wouldn't surprise me if he got a late stoppage in the 4th.
Joe Rogan compared the elite conditioning of fighters like Merab to what he sees in Dricus Du Plessis. He described how some fighters reach a rare level of cardiovascular performance, maintain it over time, and keep building on it, making them nearly impossible to match in pace. To him, Dricus seems like that kind of fighter, someone who works so hard he can fight at full intensity without fading.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
And there's guys, and you know this because you work with Merab, there's guys that reach this level of discipline and they achieve a level of cardiovascular performance that's just above everybody else's, and then they maintain it. Like, they get that advantage and they keep pushing it and they slowly keep adding on to it. Like, you're seeing Merab now. Like,
oh my God.
Particularly in the second O'Malley fight, you're seeing just like a totally different beast. He's just super
nonstop,
nonstop, and you can't
relentless.
You can't keep up with that. You know, he's like, it's just hard work. It's just hard work. I believe that, but man,
but state of mind too, like he believes it mentally.
But it's the amount of hard work is extraordinary to get to that level, and I think Dricus is kind of a similar
that kind
thing.
of guy.
I think that dude works so hard that he can go out there and fight full.
He noted that Khamzat had been working with renowned coach Sam Calavetta, who has trained TJ Dillashaw, Aaron Pico, and Arman Tsarukyan. Calavetta brings a scientific recovery-focused approach with a background in cycling, an endurance sport Rogan called all cardio. Rogan relayed Arman's observation that Khamzat used to overtrain and enter fights worn out, but now they monitor his recovery to avoid that.
It's going to be interesting to see if it gets into deep water. That's what's going to be interesting, because I know he started training with Calavita. So he went
for his conditioning.
Yeah, he went to Sam Calavita, who trained TJ Dillashaw.
Yep.
He works with Aaron. Said the problem was Khamzat overtrained for every fight, and he would always come into fights worn out. And that was the difference between working with Calavita. That they're monitoring his actual recovery. They're making sure they're doing everything scientifically. Calavita, I think his background is in cycling. Like, it was in, endurance sports.
Yeah.
Rogan emphasized Khamzat's speed advantage, especially coming from welterweight. He pointed to the frightening precision of his knockout over Gerald Meerschaert and his dominance over Kevin Holland as proof of his sharp striking and ability to ragdoll opponents on the ground. However, he also highlighted how Du Plessis makes skilled opponents look foolish by capitalizing on patterns, citing his setup against Robert Whittaker. Even if Dricus' movement looks unusual, Rogan stressed, it works. And he has serious power.
About Khamzat
should be a good one.
All these guys were 170s, right? You're right about that. But with 170 comes speed, right? And Khamzat's speed is a factor. It's a big factor with his hand speed. He's, people forget because like what he did to Kevin Holland, the way he could ragdoll guys on the ground, but what he did to Gerald Meerschaert is pretty fucking spooky too.
That was a really good punch. Really good punch.
It's technical and sharp and straight down the middle.
He's a very well-rounded guy.
He's fucking good standing up, man. Yeah. He's good standing up, and that's where it's going to be weird. That's where I want to see, because Du Plessis makes everybody look stupid. He finds a way
to get every mistake.
He must got a lot of power,
but they're not mistakes. He for sure has a lot of power. But someone did a great breakdown of what he did with Robert Whittaker, where he set up that right hook, and the way he was like recognizing that Whittaker had this certain pattern, and it's not like it looks weird because he just moves different than
He's
everybody
stiff,
else.
that's
but
all. He's stiff.
Whatever it is, it works.
Finally, Joe framed the central question. Does Khamzat have the confidence to push for a finish and risk emptying his gas tank? And if not, can he sustain a high pace for 5 rounds? Because they already know Dricus can.
Does he have the confidence to go for it and possibly empty the gas tank and get the finish? And if he doesn't, how fucked is he?
He has no other way. I don't think I think take down and smash. That's what he wants.
Right.
That's what he makes no,
Yeah, you can't adjust
he's not
now.
disguising it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't adjust now in the world
Yeah,
championship fight. You got to just hit the gas.
I
It's a
think
sprint.
instinct's going to kick in, and he is a sprinter. You know what I mean?
But that's the question: is can he sprint for 5 rounds? Because
Rogan had left the fight hanging in the balance, but Max Holloway saw it through a different lens. Max wasn't convinced by the idea of taking the wrestling straight to Khamzat. He'd seen how that played out, and it usually ended with Khamzat controlling the situation. He described how unpredictable Dricus could be, lunging in, then hanging back to counter, then shooting from awkward ranges into trips or ankle picks. You couldn't lock in on one thing to prepare for. With Khamzat, it was the opposite. Everyone knew the blueprint, but stopping it was another story.
Guys, if Duplessis took anything, I mean, I saw his coach talking about how they want to take the wrestling to him and whatever. That is not the way you're gonna beat him. This guy is just going to wrestle back with you. You need to anti-wrestle him. You need to not wrestle back, and then maybe later on get him tired and you wrestle back. But I mean, we all see it. We all see it on Instagram. We all see it on YouTube. It's like, how do you get ready for a style like him? Like, he runs at you. He does it. He's a over pusher, and then he's like a too much laid back counter striker, and then he just wrestles like he does like a power double close, and then he shoots far and then goes to like for an ankle pick. There's just so much that Duplessis does that you cannot get ready for one thing. The man is a wild man, bro. It must be a headache getting ready for him. At least with Khamzat, you see what Khamzat does. He goes in there, he shoots. If his shots fail, he comes up to a body clinch. And then he tries to come to a body clinch, and he tries to get you back down. You know what I mean? It is so hard to pick.
For Max, the deciding factor might have been cardio. He still thought back to the Usman fight, where Khamzat's pace dipped as the rounds went on. If that gas tank didn't hold up in the later stages, the momentum could swing fast. That's why he framed it simply. If it ended quick, Khamzat probably got it done. But if it stretched past the 4th, that was Dricus territory.
And the whole thing with Chimaev too that I'm really trying to know in this one is if his cardio is there, you know. With the, again, I'm always going back to the Usman fight. With the Usman fight, his cardio looked today. I say this. How about I say this? How about we say this? I'm not gonna pick anybody in the main event. But if it's the finish, I think it's Khamzat. And if it goes after four rounds or more, I think Duplessis wins by decision or a late finish. But 3 rounds and under, I think it's a Khamzat fight. That's the best I can do, man.
When it came to Chael Sonnen, he was certain about one thing. The opening moments were going to shape everything. He thought Khamzat would come out fast, hunting for that first takedown before either man had broken a sweat. If he got it, that could tilt the fight in his favor for the rest of the night, each shot after that coming a little easier. If he didn't, the momentum could shift quickly.
Chimaev is going to come out very quickly, and he's going to test the waters of a takedown. Now, whether he throws some punches and goes to it, or he just comes across the cage and keeps that very momentum going and goes in on those legs, his best chances to get a takedown are when he's got the most energy, which is right then at the beginning, and when the opponent is the driest, sweating the least, which again is right when that contest starts. But he's either going to get it or he's not. And that's where the problem comes. If he gets that takedown, he will change Dricus in that moment. If Dricus is to get up to his feet or even survive, Dricus will now be different, which is going to make him easier to take down a second and a third. And
He felt that if Dricus stopped those early attempts or made Khamzat think twice about shooting, the fight could stay standing. While wrestlers often hold the edge, he pointed out that an elite striker can slowly break down even a strong grappler if it stays on the feet, especially once the pace starts wearing them out.
And if Dricus can do one of two things, defend Chimaev's takedowns or convince Chimaev that he can defend his takedowns. And therefore, so Chimaev just doesn't try. That's where all of a sudden you find yourself in the stand-up battle. And while since 1993, since the beginning of time when they set that octagon up, the grappler has done better than the striker.
When it came to how it might end, Chael saw one man running out of gas completely, and if it came to that, he leaned toward Dricus, still being there when the other couldn't go on. Going into this fight, you could feel the tension. Both fighters had very different styles. With matchups like this, it's not always the first round that decides it. Sometimes it's one mistake, one opening, or who can dig deeper when it matters most. We all knew this was always going to be a wild one. Let us know in the comments who you were backing and how you thought it would play out.